All right. The last video I did, I had to record numerous times because I kept digressing. It's remarkable how quickly the time passes when you're talking. I don't know that I like it, frankly. I think I'm recording an 8-minute video. Next thing I know, it's like 18 minutes. I don't like that. I don't like that. And saying I don't like that over and over again is going to make this also 18 minutes. So let's move on. So, among the numerous digressions I made while trying to make that last video, I did hit on one that I thought might be worth extrapolating upon, especially since today is Beltane and we're talking about the nature of evil. And so, one of the stories I wanted to tell was being at a couple events with Robert De Niro while I was working on Madison Avenue in New York. Uh, Here's another digression. Doggone it. Today's Beltane, and I'm wearing my Satanic Colors shirt. The Satanic Colors are scarlet, silver, and black. And I've had this shirt for years. I didn't know it was a satanic flag shirt when I got it. And I don't think it's intentionally a satanic flag shirt, but those are the colors. And today is Beltane, and I don't wear this shirt very often, but I'm wearing it today. So, uh, and maybe this isn't going to go where I think it's going to go, because since it is Beltane, and since we've been told by Jesus Christ himself that this material realm is Satan's, and while he doesn't hold the ultimate cards in the immaterial, he does seem to hold them here. And I would perhaps defer to Cat Williams in this case, who ran up against the Illuminati earlier in his career and subsequently experienced some severe speed bumps, and then came back and said he knows now that the Illuminati needs to be respected. And I discovered that quite some time ago. And with that in mind, and keeping in mind that while my Lord and Savior is Jesus Christ, and I would recommend everyone turn to Him to get your sins negated in His holy blood, I also recognize that this material world in which we live is Satan's world. It is Satan's world. Jesus told us himself, and Satan's got his own commandments for this world. I'm not precisely sure that those commandments are the commandments that were laid out to us in the Satanic Bible, written by Anton LaVey, who was, yes, a fraud and a phony, and alleged to be a child molester. Um, but also, if you read the Satanic Bible, you'll discover it's got some worthy points inside it. And also, I dare say that in this material world, uh, the Satanic commandments are do not seem to me to be an immoral way to rule your life. A self centered way, perhaps, but not an immoral way. Um, if you look at the Satanic commandments, I mean, it does uh, command you to respect others and protect yourself. I mean, and again, I try not to use um, profanity, but I think the best summation for the Satanic Commandments, and I think I got this from Mark Passio, the great spiritual philosopher and perpetually angry genius who I recommend you explore his work. I couldn't recommend it more highly. Um, I think he's the one who said, the philosophy is do no harm, but take no shit. And I wouldn't say that's too far from the way I've tried to live my life, frankly. I mean, and I think maybe it's been misinterpreted, but uh, so this whole turn the other cheek thing. I mean, I don't know if it means being passive, you know. I mean, and letting people abuse you, um, and maybe it's just got more to um, stay resilient. Keep pressing forward. Once they hit you one way, come forward with the other. I don't know, but I'm not a Christian who just wants to sit around and wait for Jesus to save us. So there's that. So evil, the nature of evil. In one of the digressions I brought up, I wanted to mention that I had been at two events with Robert De Niro when I was working on Madison Avenue, and at both of them, I just I just really sensed a darkness like fizzing off of that guy. Like I could feel it, and I have felt it with a couple people and a few people, and um, I'll mention another one after this. But I think the two Robert De Niro stories are telling. Um, the first thing I was at was an award ceremony, and he was the master of ceremonies who was giving out the awards. He didn't show up on time. He was remarkably late, hugely late. He went on stage. He had a card that he read off of, and he mispronounced. He made no eye contact with the audience. He read a card off, and he mispronounced a bunch of people's names, and then he left, and that was it. He was there maybe 5 minutes tops. He was supposed to be. We were led to believe that he was going to be there pretty much all night as the master of ceremonies and talking and mingling and all that, and it didn't happen. And he had an entourage, kind of a weird mix of attractive black women and what appeared to be a handler too. Uh, the other thing I was at with Robert De Niro was later. I think it was an NBC Universal event, but I might be wrong. And I thought I wanted to talk to him. He was talking to some people, and I got close, and just the vibe was so dark. And I listened a bit. I was kind of on the periphery of it, and he was like a short guy talking down to people who were taller than him. It was very strange. He was kind of like looking, but he was just like saying these, I'm, or maybe it wasn't even what he was saying so much as like how he was saying it. Just a dismissive, ugh. Anyway. So that's it. I think Robert De Niro is an extremely talented and extremely evil man. Happens a lot, whatever. And again, if you're gonna be evil and talented, you just show us your talent. I don't want to see your evil. You know, um, so there's that. And another guy who I could sense the darkness fizzing off of. Is the former chief executive officer of WPP, which was actually the biggest advertising conglomerate holding company on the planet, who I worked for. Yes, yes, yes. But the evil fizzing off of this guy, I saw, felt before I was working for him. Uh, it's when I was a reporter in New York at Media Post, and I went to an advertising event where he spoke, and so did Tina Brown, the former editor of Vanity Fair. Her husband was there. He was kind of a heavy hitter, I think, at one point in the British corporate press, and he gave a speech that showed like it was time to retire. I mean, the guy, like, the internet was taking over, and he was still talking about how some article in some newspaper somewhere was turning the tide for John Kerry um, against George Bush in the second election, and he was completely off base. But anyway, so the CEO of WPP also spoke, and his name was Martin Sorrell. It's still Martin Sorrell, but he's not the CEO of WPP anymore. Um, Sir Martin Sorrell, in fact. He's a knight. He's a knight of the realm. Yeah. He's not my knight. And he's not Sir Martin Sorrell to me either. He's just Martin Sorrell. Or Marty Sorrell, we could even say. So, anyway, Martin Sorrell, the CEO of WPP, the largest advertising conglomerate on the planet, speaks at this event where I'm a reporter. And he says something that's like a half truth. It's not an outright lie, but it's like a half truth. He's uh, giving misinformation. So after it's over, he's milling about. And I get close enough to interrupt him. He's talking to minions. Another case where there's this very short man speaking down to people taller than him. And I ask him the question. He doesn't answer. He doesn't even speak to me. He just looks at me like I'm an insect. And the other weird thing was, like, after he looked at me like I was an insect, he also kind of like looked up and like looked around me, almost like you could see an aura around me of some sort. It was very strange. Um, but I was a bug to this guy, and while he was looking at me like this, I could feel this like shadowy thing just coming off of the guy. So that was strange. And then a few years later, I got hired by one of the companies that uh, he owned. It's called Digitaria. It doesn't exist anymore. They destroyed it. And Digitaria was rolled under a once great advertising agency, J. Walter Thompson, which also doesn't exist anymore. They destroyed that one too. And it in turn was owned by WPP, which was run by Marty Sorrell. And so my digression while I was talking about this was because I think it paints a good photograph of the hierarchies of evil. The hierarchies of evil. Because my boss at Digitaria, I've been meaning to write about him for years because he is like the case study of how, you can gain the world and lose your soul. I mean, that is it. Boom. Like, you could make a movie out of that guy. Because, I mean, he really, he was evil, but it was like the banality of evil. His reasons for being evil and backstabbing the people around him and lying to his employees and allowing the higher up executives inside the holding company to change the name of the agency from a brand that everybody knew to like this new brand that nobody still knows about years later. It was all just done for ego. He wanted to be the biggest guy in San Diego, the biggest ad guy in San Diego. And, that's like being the hottest nun in the convent, really. I mean, that was it. His evil was rooted in his own ego, and but that is rooted in your own insecurities because you need to prove to the world what you've not been able to prove to yourself. So there's that. Now, so he's a very easy guy to manipulate, and Hannah Arendt's banality of evil. So. One step up from there, though, you had like the New York guys and women at J. Walter Thompson, and they were like the next level up of evil, because they weren't really just in it for the ego. They were in it because they wanted to change society. They wanted to create ad campaigns and do pro bono campaigns that would alter society, even more than sell products. And that's the biggest problem in advertising, in the same way that it's become the biggest problem in Hollywood, that in advertising, it no longer came to like wanting to move your client's products, or convince people to need something that they don't even want, that they shouldn't even want. Um, so that was it. And then above J. Walter Thompson and their manipulations to alter society as opposed to just sell your product like a good capitalist ad agency should, you had the holding companies who were that was the real evil. I mean, that was the we're dictating from the top down evil and societal evil, globalist narrative evil, and uh, I I I do remember my boss at the first place, the place in San Diego, the banality of evil guy. Coming back from one European trip early on in the takeover, and I don't know what happened in Europe while he was there, but it I was going to say shattered, but I'm not going to say shattered. He wasn't shattered. He was uh, sobered by it. Um, it weighed on him. It weighed on him. Something that he saw there weighed on him. I don't know what it was. Something he was asked to become involved in weighed on him. Don't know what it was. Um, so that's it, I guess. 16 minutes, longest yet. Maybe both of these are waste today. I hope not. Beltane, watch closely.